Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming this morning. It is Friday, and I know we're wanting to get on out of here and enjoy the weekend. It's a beautiful day, but we again thank you for coming. We've got a special call meeting this morning to go over
the elevator project under facilities also, and a request from the Highway 70 Corridor Commission for funds. But before we get started, we'd like to again welcome you and start with a invocation, and I ask Commissioner Aycock if he would lead us in prayer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for your many blessings. Be with us today as we conduct this special meeting for these items. We're very appreciative for your guidance in leading us in the direction we have with the Steele Memorial Library. Been a long time coming, and we just pray that you will lead and guide us in making the right decision this morning. Also, we'd like to remember our men and women in uniform, abroad and here, that serve every day to give us the freedom that we have to conduct the business of this county. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. And Commissioner Camart, if you'd lead us in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. General statutes mandates that the chairman inquire to whether any members has a known conflict of interest or appearance of conflict with respect to matters coming before this commission today. If you know of any conflict of interest or appearance of conflict, would you please state so at this time? Thank you. We'll get to our first order of business. All three of these items are action items today, but I'd like to turn it over to Commissioner Mayo, who is not only vice chair, of course, he is the chairman of our facilities committee. Commissioner Mayo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, we do want to move into our presentation from Jackson Builders and Smith Engineering on our recommendations for the day. And Mr. Lee Smith, are you going to lead us through this, or Ms. Noel Woods, if you want to introduce our guests?
Yes, sir. We've got Kent Warren with Jackson Builders. Ask him to come forward, and he is giving probably not to the detail that we had at the facilities committee, because a number of you have had a chance to review, but he's going to go over this, and then we'll talk about action items and recommendations from the committee at that time.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. As we're here, I guess, to bring in summary, we have completed design on the Steele Memorial Library. You've seen the rendering that we presented to you about 3 weeks ago. We've also shown you some elevations, I think, that have flipped through here. The Chestnut Street elevation, which shows the added canopy outside the entrance, and the rear elevation, which will show 2 added canopies at the rear, which is I think the commissioners requested that so that we could have the potential for another entry from the rear of the facility. We have completed design, we've completed bidding, and we're going to be giving you a budget presentation today. It'll take you through what we've gone through with the library committee, which is a facilities committee member, a member from the Friends of the Library, library staff, Ms. Donna Phillips, a couple other members, and we've gone through that, I think, in 5 different meetings. Tried to keep make sure that all the stakeholders had a part in the design and making sure that they approved of everything that was in there. So I think we've got a good, tight design, something that'll serve the county well at a very reasonable cost. We're going to give you a total contract proposal of $2.275 million. That includes site-related items of $163,190, furnishing, signage, library equipment of $140,383, and building-related items of $1,971,427. That gives you a cost, building-related items of about $96.26 a square foot. So in terms of construction dollars, I think that's a pretty good tight budget, and especially for the level of finishes and exterior renovation that we're doing on the project. Excuse me. From a previous design, we tried to pick all the low-hanging fruit that we could to save the county as much money and still give you the facility you desired. We eliminated the clear story that was in the previous design, utilized skylights in that same area, basically gave you the same high ceilings, the same natural light at a much less cost. We left the front entrance in its original location rather than relocating it to the corner as shown, and eliminated a glass canopy there. Masonry and insulation methods. We've used a masonry product that actually goes into a styrofoam form, which will provide all the insulation below the level of the ephes. We've utilized the ephes above that as the insulation above that brick section, if you remember your elevations. And on the rear side of the library that meets the alley, which is not getting any masonry work done to it, we'll be using a foam product on the interior to gain all of the insulation that's needed there. Of course, the upper section with the re-roof gets new insulation as well, so we'll have a very nice, efficient, tight envelope for the building. Interior finishes, we scaled back a little bit. We'll back up. Interior finishes, we scaled back a bit. Still very nice finishes. The utilities entrances are probably the biggest savings item. Rather than eliminating the paving in the alley and having to repave that, putting in water mains and utilities entrances in the alley. We've done it from the Chestnut Street side, coming through the parking lot in the rear of the building. So shorter run and less paving cost. We've got about half the paving that we had in the original. Utilized EPDM roofing in lieu of the modified bitumen roof, another savings of around $40,000. And the glass glazing interior doors and hardware, just a little difference than what we specified, and it's going to be still very, very nice finishes within the building. We've completed the design contract again at a price of $65,000, which we gave to the county and have a contract for. And we have the drawings ready, and actually they are submitted to Wayne County inspections for review. We've also completed the demolition in the in the building. There was an approved contract for $70,000. Through utilization of our labor forces, we were able to reduce that to $42,500, saving the county $27,500. During the process of going through all the necessary steps that you do in demolition, we found that we did have some remaining asbestos within the facility. We bid that out and got a low cost of $21,672. That was added to the contract. So your total outlay for demolition is going to be $64,172. And I guess that's my presentation. If there's any questions, anything you'd like to offer.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, I just wanted to be clear, as we did our facilities meeting. This this 2.275, $2,275,000 does not include what's already been done on demolition and asbestos abatement, because that's what's approved separately.
That's correct.
So I want to make sure the figures that I have, if you add everything together, including the demolition and abatement, did we come up somewhere around $118 a square foot is what we figured?
That's correct.
Okay. I want to make that clear to the public.
Right.
That this does not include the demolition and asbestos abatement.
Okay.
Any other questions from commissioners? Mr. Daugherty?
When you state that there's $140,000 worth of furnishings, I understand signage, and library equipment, what are you including there on library equipment and furnishing?
In library equipment, there is a $50,000 line item approved for, or included for the theft detection system, which is the, it's not a turnstile, it's
I understand.
the little theft
Right,
detection
right.
device that sits at your entrance,
Right.
along with the RFID tags that'll go in each piece of library circulation, books, what have you. All those will have a little RFID tag attached to those, and there's a certain allowance, I think 70,000 items. So there's 70,000 items worth of the RFID tags plus the style that you pass through. And that's the 50,000. There's signage, which is all of the signage that goes over the areas to let people know where, one thing or another is. Let's see, library equipment, anything else? Yeah, and site furnishings, which are just benches, planters, things like that that are not normally associated with a construction cost.
Shelving and so forth for the bookshelves.
Shelving's actually in millwork.
That's,
Yeah, some of that's in millwork, but there's actually a $500,000 line item that we have for all of our technology, routers, switches, phones, and then the other desk and all those things, and we have that budgeted at a $500,000. We're gonna get that under that, but we already know that, but that's what we budgeted for that originally, so.
and one last question, and just for my information. Have you got an estimate on the savings of eliminating the clear story and switching over and using skylight?
I don't have a complete, let's see. I do have a little something there that I might come back into it.
You have like 114 or something, I remember that. In one of the meetings we talked about it.
I think it was in the 110 to 120 range, I
Yeah,
think, by the
it was like
time we added the.
114,000 or something is what I recall.
Yeah, it's a fairly large savings,
Yeah.
just that one line item.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Daugherty. Mr. Pate?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a question. I'm not a roofer by any means, but it's like we got a flat roof on this building. Can you talk about the roofing a little bit, and how we're not gonna have leaks and that kind of flat roof?
Oh, God.
In that facility.
Is that a bad question?
Call it a flat roof.
Yeah, flat roofs are not the ideal thing, but with the structural system that's in place, there's an 8/12 pitch on that roof. Current building codes today, if you were rebuilding that, wouldn't allow you to go anything less than 1/4 and 12. But with current roofing materials, I mean, there's several different systems that are approved for 8 and 12, even a flat roof, which is 8/12 is pretty flat. But we're using an EPDM system, which is a single ply system, very durable, 20-year material warranty type roofing. I mean, it's either that and the material that we compared it against in our budgeting was a modified bitumen. And we spoke with Milford, with the facilities committee, and I think what you've got there is such a big cost savings from modified bitumen to an EPDM roof, and the durability, there's just doesn't make a lot of sense to spend that extra $40,000. I mean, that's $2 a square foot, round number.
We've got a 20-year warranty on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good roof. It's something that, it's probably the most specified roof in the industry.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? My question is for Mr. Smith, is in reference to the $500,000 that's set aside for IT. We've got a beautiful building, no doubt. It's a great look, have a huge impact. Curb appeal is great, did a good job. I'm sure the city of Mount Olive is just ecstatic that something like that's going to sit right just about in the middle of town, and that is beautiful. But all of that said, going on the inside now, the workability with the Friends of the Library, want to make sure that the IT and all is funded, that we are setting a new bar within the library system of Wayne County, being that this is new. We know exactly, as I mentioned at the facilities meeting, being on that board also, that committee, I'm real concerned that we do not cut back when we go inside the building, because that is where the work is actually done. That's where the teaching and the learning is. And to make sure that we're setting a bar for the region as they come in, because early on we discussed it's a learning resource center. And my concern, Mr. Smith, is that is the $500,000 enough? Have you done, since we know the exact square footage, we know exactly where things are going to be laid out, now have you done enough specifically with the Friends of the Library to know exactly what they want, so we can go ahead and put a price tag on this and set a budget so they are free to go out, and the library, Friends of the Library, and the director, Ms. Phillips, is able to go out and do her research. So as we prepare to open the doors, that we know exactly what we have to have. So enough said. So with all of that said, give me some response. Is $500,000 going to be enough?
Yes. I've got Chris Cowan and Donna Phillips here, so you guys, if you have anything, I'd like Chris, if he'd come up, because he's been working with this since day one. He's with our IT department, works with Steve Cross, and they've looked at placement, and he's worked with Donna because, no offense to the Friends, this is really about process and our technicians and our folks in the library to understand how things would work and what this facility is. So they've worked with IT and to look how, where you've got monitors, where you've got wireless, where all these things. So let Chris kind of touch on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. The main thing we look at in IT nowadays is not for today. We look 10, 20 years down the road, all the projects we do. Good example, the services on aging building. That wasn't built for today, but it's built with expandability. And that's where we approached this library project with the same thing. We went through with the prior architect and stuff like this. A lot of things were determined what's going in what room. And in some cases, we try to reutilize some equipment we've had before. A good example is computers. As you know, we virtualized a lot of our county employees' desks and stuff like this, but we didn't take their computer assets and throw them away. We've cleaned them up. We're going to buy some more higher memory modules for them and repurpose them. So that allows the flexibility of saving money, but yet have faster systems there. With everything else, with the wireless we're going to have in there, the phone system, the flexibility of that, we're going to have a digital signage inside the building so that they can put anything they want up there and stuff like that. But we're pretty much, as this project goes, some things will be looked at and stuff like this, since it's kind of getting more hard in stone. I still have several vendors to work with, like with the phone system, things like this, to get the lines inside the building that we need and stuff. But it's going to be very flexible. That's the biggest thing today.
Now
So the rooms, the rooms are laid out for teaching and for the size of presentations, screens, all about learning.
That is correct.
Visual and audio.
Right, and the small rooms, which are study rooms, pretty much like it's built so if you had to plug some on our network, you could. But when we talk like the big conference room, the meeting room there, or the big computer lab, that's where that's built for the learning part of it and stuff. So
Okay.
there will be 2 projectors inside of the conference room type of deal, so they can actually put a wall down the middle and have 2 different presentations going on at the same time.
Okay.
So we're looking for
All right.
Question, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mayor.
Wait,
What's,
one second.
Chris?
Chris,
Yes.
I have a question. So, have you had, has IT had any meetings, I'm sure you have, with Jackson Builders on making sure that the wiring that we need is going to be there during construction, not
Right.
after?
The basic thing, the way IT works is that he's going to be responsible for getting me the junction boxes where I want them.
Yes.
I will work with our subcontractor on getting the wiring there. So it meets all our standards and we know the way it is. And so like this versus bringing in someone else, because sometimes things don't work out. So, and we've already discussed that before this meeting about me visiting.
Okay, good. That's very important. Now's the time to do it. as
Oh,
far
yes,
as being
trust me,
wired.
I'll be more involved in the next 6 to 8 months or whatever.
And we will take any savings off of that $500,000 also.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Chris is pretty tight on stuff. Donna,
Mr. Aycock,
I didn't
you
know if
want
Donna
to
had
respond to this
something
question?
too.
Ms. Phillips?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to say thank you very much for your nod to technology and planning for the future, because yesterday, we were delighted earlier in the week, the Library Foundation Board purchased new furnishing for the public areas of the library. And as I walked through the library yesterday to assess how people were using the library, it was just simply amazing to me to see. We had people reading books. They were sitting in the chairs reading books. We had senior adults by the open sunlight in the windows reading newspapers. But all around the library, we had people accessing different forms of technology. For example, I had one group of ladies who were hearing impaired, and they had a laptop set up and they were Skyping with someone and using sign language to communicate. Just beside them was another person listening to music, and they had their headphones on so they weren't bothering the other people. There were people downloading books on their e-readers. So we've been very careful and strategic in planning for electricity and data in the building. We work very closely with Chris Cowan, as he said, and the IT staff, and also with Kent Warren. He's heard me say over and over again, we can't plan just for today. Technology is not going away, it's going to increase, and he's been very attentive to that. So I did want to make you aware of that. Another thing that's happening in public libraries today is called maker spaces, where people are coming into the library and they are using technology to create new ideas, ways of doing business, and even researching how they might start a small business in our community. So we certainly have planned for that type of activity in our library, and I want to thank you for giving attention to that.
Thank you so much. Mr. Aycock, you have a question?
Yes, this is Jackson Builders. You say the drawings has been submitted to the inspection department.
Yes, sir.
Is that normally a you've dealt with, is that normally a fairly,
It's usually pretty quick.
Pretty quick?
It's I would say in this case, their knowledge that the plans were coming, a little bit of prior discussion, you probably have a 7 to 10 day turnaround in terms of business days.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Mr.
Just
Chairman.
want to make sure that the question, Mr. Smith, is, are we okay with the funds that we've set aside
Yes.
from what you've heard now?
Yes, I mean, we've got that within that, the dollars in the reserve, so, we'll be bidding out the technology pieces, we'll be bringing those back, so we've got to bid those pieces out, and, but that's been the plan the whole time, that those were separated out, so.
Okay. Counsel, Mr. Parker.
If I may remind the public, I know that the board wants it, but when the board chose Jackson Builders and Smith Designs to be the design build project team, they came back to you and told you that because of the way the design was to be done, they needed to go ahead and do the demolition so you could have the most savings. So you had a separate, as Kent told you a while ago, a separate contract for the demolition and a separate contract for the design. Now, the contract that will be presented to you today is just with Jackson Builders because the design has already been done by Smith Designs. So just wanted to make sure there wasn't any misunderstanding as to why the contract was just with Jackson Builders, if you approve what's being presented to you today.
All right, thank you. Any comments, questions from Mr. Smith?
I was going to ask the attorney something. Really, I did want to add one thing. There was a question, I think in the last meeting, and Ms. Phillips and I have been conferring. I did include in the CIP, I think I had estimated 50,000, and I'd asked Ms. Phillips to, put pencil to paper and make sure, just see how close that was, because I'd kind of backed into the number based on Mount Olive's assistance with utilities and that type thing. And looking at where we are today at the Steele Library, it's $115,560 on operating cost. And I'd estimated a $50,000 increase in operating expenses. And I think the actual at $168,806 is actually right at $53,245. So I was off $3,245, but we were pretty close. So, I feel very comfortable with the numbers that we've come up with, because with the size of the library, we'll have at least 2 part-time people that will have to be moved to full-time because of operations, because it's a totally different operation. So anyway, she and I have talked about that, and we'll be presenting that in the next budget, and that will be a partial year, I think. So
So you'll be presenting that in the
During
next
the-
budget, so you're
Mhm.
talking about,
July
May.
1st.
May, be working on the budget in April, May. You'll approve it we'll approve it in June 3rd.
Prior to
June
July
30.
1st. Mhm.
And then we're looking, anticipating opening, did you say summer, possibly, midsummer?
It's gonna be in that same time frame. It's gonna be really close. You know, that's why I said this may be, when I said a partial year, you know, we may be a month in, so we may be giving you an increased budget of 11 months, but I'm planning on 12 months because you may go in, let's say, really in a soft opening situation, want to make sure everything's working before you open the door. So you might be in there 30 days getting everything ramped up.
Okay, so the
Yeah.
budget amendment or the
It would be included
anticipated
in the-
operating cost, you're looking at what, do you think?
A total of 168,806, but there would be an increase of $53,200 from this fiscal year.
Just for the Steele Memorial, not for the library system,
That's
but
for
for
the,
just Steele?
that's for the Steele
Okay,
Memorial.
all right, got you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Answer my questions. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Cromartie?
Well, the for public consumption, target date for the completion.
I think that we put it in the contract.
240 days.
240 days, 8 months, which I think puts you in June. I can't remember the dates on the contract specifically, but. I'd
That's
say
close enough.
Sometime in June.
That's close.
If you adopt what's before you today, it's 240 days from yesterday.
Okay. Any other questions, comments from commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Cromartie?
before we make a motion, I'd like to make a comment or just to hand out a thank you or two if this is the time, or do you want to?
Oh, you can go ahead and do that now. We don't have a public comment or a commissioner's comment in the agenda today. And just in reference to this, yes, sir, and it's not a discussion after a motion, sir.
All right. First, I would like to hand out a great thank you to my fellow commissioners here, and John Bell absent today for a personal reason, but I would like to hand out a great thank you for the many discussions that you've been part of with the public and with the Friends of the Library. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank Lynn Williams, who's chairperson of the Friends of the Library, Donna Phillips, our distinguished county person in charge of the library. A lot of hard work and a lot of making sure that it was just like a future library needs to be. I thank you for those directions there, Donna. I look forward to being able to go down to that library, and if not read, just hook up something and listen. I would like to also thank the mayor of Mount Olive, Mr. Ray McDonald, for all the good work he has done, for some of the things that the town has agreed to do. There will be a cost savings to the overall project. Mr. Charles Brown, the town manager, standing right there with him. Also, a late addition to the Friends of the Library, Mr. Jimmy Williams, who's in our presence this morning. He and I will be riding back and forth past there, keeping a close eye on it. You can be assured, since we live within 2 minutes of that great regional future. But I would like to reserve one last great thank you to my predecessor, my good friend, who's not here with us but watching, J.D. Evans. He championed this cause. He stopped by my house many a times. We sat on the porch, and I'd asked him where he was going, and he was going to meet with the library committee. I can remember the day that he looked at my wife, and he affectionately calls her sister. They've known each other back in the Wayne County Public School days. He said, "Sister, we've got to get this done." And so, not just my wife, but a lot of other folk contributed to this library. And from folk who had meager means on retirement to folk who had more resources. But the point is that I want to make that the community of Mount Olive always rise to the occasion. And I proudly stand here this morning when it's time to make the formal vote to raise my hand for the southern part of Wayne County, District 2, but all of Wayne County, and especially my good friend J.D.
Thank you, Mr. Cromartie. Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Chairman, as chairman of the Facilities Committee for the Commissioners, including yourself, Mr. King, and Mr. Wayne Acott, gives me great pleasure at this time to present to the commissioners and make a motion for the final contract of the Steele Memorial Library. This is an historical day. I said it before. It's a prime example of how taking your time, even though it's been a long process, everyone has been brought to the table during all these meetings we've been in. It seems like hundreds, to be honest with you. But it's a prime example of how people, when people are brought to the table, we can come to an agreement. And I can sit here and tell you that everyone that's at the table for the Steele Memorial Library, I have heard nothing but good news. So at this time, Mr. Chairman, it's a pleasure for me to make a motion that we approve the contract for Jackson Builders to remodel the new Steele Memorial Library for $2,275,000, subject to the county manager and county attorney approving the final contract and performance bond. I make that in the form of a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion's on the floor. We accept the recommendation. This recommendation brought before you. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you. Mr. Williams. Yes, sir.
I was speaking before, but I didn't want to speak to you both. I want to make sure you're serious about it. Oh, y'all were being very, we're an assumption that you voted now. We're official, are we?
You're official. They need, however, to adopt a budget amendment to fund it.
And I can go into it. No, I won't do that. On behalf of the town of Mount Olive, and I speak in no official capacity other than being a citizen there and very interested in this project. As Ed says, I walk by there, and one of the things I've said to myself many times, I really hope this thing is finished in my lifetime. And because I'm getting older, you know, we're all getting older every day, and I got a birthday coming up and all those sorts of things, and it's great. I talked with Lynn last night. I know she communicated with Lynn, would love to be here today, and you can't say enough words about the leadership she has given to the community and all of the other people of her committee who have worked hard with that. I appreciate what you've done. We appreciate what you've done, and you have taken a great step forward in Wayne County, and we appreciate all the efforts that you've put into it and all the efforts the town of Mount Olive. And I think that the resources that they brought to the table, not only in the fundraising that took place prior to this, but the resources they're committing to make sure this project does work good. Thank you so much. We look forward to June, and Ed will go up there and read our comic books. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you so much.
Can't change your mind.
No, sir. I would like to entertain a motion, though, that we go ahead and approve, upon approval of the contract of council, that we go ahead and make a budget amendment, put the budget amendment together for this through the finance director, and upon the amendment, let me make sure I can get this right, Mr. Parker. Want to make sure that the motion was that to have you get your eyes on the contract with the county manager so we can go ahead and get this amendment taken care of. Have you got the contract?
I have the proposed contract and the couple of things that I have pointed out to Jackson Builders that we want to have modified, and of course, they were not going to get the performance bond until you approved signing the contract, so that's got to be done as well.
We can do that. Making sure that we get the performance bond is paramount, and getting the amendment, of course, the budget amendment signed, but making sure that you're comfortable with all terms in the contract before we actually sign off on the amendment, the budget amendment.
Right, but I think it'd be good to approve the budget amendment today, so if it can, all of that can happen before your next meeting.
But you have a sense of the contract. You have
Yes.
seen the draft. You've got your eyes on it, and there's a couple of issues that you wish, and of course, is there anything in there about the performance bond?
there will be a performance bond attached to it, and it's not going to be signed until I approve the performance bond.
Very well. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Mayo,
I make a motion we approve the budget amendment
any conditions?
upon the conditions that the county attorney is satisfied with what is presented, and at that time present it back, if we need to, back to the commissioner board. But if we don't need to do that, you know, I don't know if we have to approve that.
We have to have a budget amendment prior to a contract being signed.
Yeah, we have to have a budget amendment prior to it being signed. But I would say that the stipulations, make sure, Mr. Attorney, that the stipulations are there, that you're satisfied, as the original motion says, upon you approving the final contract and performance bond, that you're satisfied with that.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Motion's on the floor then, that we move forward with that motion. Any questions, comments?
Yeah.
Mr. Daugherty?
Am I understanding that we're approving, the motion is that we're approving a budget amendment with some stipulations?
The motion on the floor that was approved to go ahead and build the library that we just voted on had a stipulation that we move forward with council's approval.
That's correct.
Okay,
But
the next motion has just been made, Mr. Daugherty, in relation to a budget amendment, but making sure the stipulation is part of the first motion is that the attorney has a contract, has looked at it, and there is a performance bond that is going to be prepared in order for this amendment to move forward.
Refer to the attorney here and manager, is that proper? Or do we
As
need
long
just
as-
simply to have a budget amendment approved?
It's more than
It can
Mr.
be
Parker.
done, it can be done either way,
Mhm.
and clearly the budget amendment is not going to be signed until you have gotten word from me that I've approved the contract
Yeah.
and the bond.
That's-
But we're just getting those approvals, and if I could, I'd like Ms. Holt to come up and just give you the details of that amendment real quick, that way we can record it in the minutes.
Well, we can get it recorded in the minutes, but there seems to be somewhat confusion, and there doesn't need to be any, is that the amendment is that we go ahead and approve the amendment, and we have the funds to do that.
Mhm.
I think the little unbalance here in the conversation is that we want to make sure that the motion has the council approving this as we move forward, and we just want to make sure council has his eyes on the draft of the contract, and he's indicated so, and in order to move forward and sign the amendment. And if the council is saying it's okay to sign this budget amendment, and he has the contract, and he's looked at it, looked at the draft, he has a couple of questions, he is telling us as council that he's going to get a performance bond, then we move forward. But Mr. Smith, if you want to move forward with some explanation from the finance director, I'll certainly allow that.
Okay. Yeah, I'd just like her to give you some detail on what we're recommending as the actual amendment.
Okay?
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Ms. Holt.
The budget amendment will be to transfer from the County Capital Reserve Fund to a capital project fund for the Steele Memorial Library, $2,275,000.
Thank you, Ms. Holt. Any questions for Ms. Holt?
Just one quick
Mr.
question.
Pate?
That money's already set aside anyway for this project.
That money
correct?
is sitting in a county capital reserve fund,
Which is restricted.
which is restricted
Yes.
money.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Holt? Thank you. Mr. Smith?
That's all. That's all.
Okay. You understand the motion then? You'd like the clerk to read it back to you?
Please, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'd like to hear it.
Madam Clerk?
To approve the budget amendment on the stipulations that the county attorney is satisfied with the contract with Jackson Builders, and there is a performance bond.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. All those opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you. That wrap up the first item of business. Thank you, Mr. Smith. The second item of business is the county office building elevator project. Thank you, gentlemen. And turn it back over to Mr. Mayo. Commissioner Mayo, who's the chairman of the facilities.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, we want to go over the county office building elevator project that was sort of tabled at our last facilities meeting because of a couple of things need to be worked out. So at this time, with those changes that for this elevator project, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Lee Smith, our county manager.
Yes, sir. We did ask for, and I'd asked Milford if he would go ahead and step forward. I'm going to have Milford walk through the process on the elevator project at the county office building just for the public. That is Health and DSS off of Ash and Herman Street. But we did ask this engineering project, or excuse me, the elevator project, if you recall, was awarded, let's see, how long has it been now, Noel? No, but when did we, last 60 days.
It's probably 60 to 90 days.
Okay. And so it has been awarded, and we have the design. The design was done by Brennan. We now have to have, because of the type project, and that's what Milford will go into, we will have to have the engineer file the project for the 7-month process, and we do have a price of $7,720, not to exceed per month for architectural administrative cost per month, and this is a recommendation from Milford Smith, so for professional services, and he has that in his budget for the total of $54,000 not to exceed. So ask Milford if he would come forward and kind of explain his recommendation.
Did you say 7,700? You
Yes.
said 7,700?
$7,700 per month.
Okay.
That's a maximum per month for 7 months. That's the total of the project.
I would like to stress that is not to exceed.
Exactly.
We don't expect it to ever be that much. That's just a fail-safe. With the nature of this project, the engineer of record designed it at no cost to us. It was done under the jail general conditions. So at this point, we've not invested anything in the design. The project will need to be monitored by the architect of record, the engineer of record. And that's what you're seeing here before you is not to exceed. It will be a monthly billing, a detailed itemized statement, and I don't expect it to ever get to $7,700 a month, frankly. Any questions? I'd be glad to answer.
Any questions? Comments?
I have a question too.
Mr. Pate and Mr. Dodd.
Just a simple question I would think that most employees over there would ask when that project's being done. We're going to do one side at a time because you got 2 elevators. How's that going to work? We're going to keep one running at all times. Okay. I would imagine they would be wanting to know that, answer that question.
Exactly. For the public, we have, I mean, obviously for ADA.
Well, I thought so. But when I go over there with the condition of those elevators, I used to
let me preface that by
anyway.
saying, that's our intention. It might not run another day. Those elevators are 1953 models.
Yeah, I know.
But with good luck, we'll keep one running all the time.
Okay. Just want to be sure.
Mr. Dodd.
Well, that answered one of my questions. The other one is, you are anticipating it taking that long for this project? Or is that a
Yes.
kind of an overestimate?
No, it's usually going to take 7 months. Part of the fact being that we can only work on one at a time.
Right.
And the building is occupied, so that's going to slow construction even more.
When are you beginning this project?
I'm hoping to begin in December. It's been, in the building process, and we didn't, nobody anticipated a 4-month lead time in ordering an elevator, but that's what it is, no matter what manufacturer it is. They're not off-the-shelf parts. They're made specifically for whatever you order.
I mean, some of the work has already begun. The actual facilities, or I just lost the word for the, not the carrier, what do you call it?
Cab.
The cab. They're under construction. They were engineered. They're under construction right now. So that preliminary work's already begun to get ready for installation.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, if I remember correctly, at one point, wasn't the elevator and the roofs combined together, the roof project?
Yes.
Okay. So are you saying that you're going to separate those?
Yes. They have been separated.
Okay, and the purpose of separating them?
We realized a lot of savings by doing design build on our roof rather than an architect.
Okay.
So it was, we all concur, all of us met, and we concur that it was absolutely the best thing for the county. We'll get the same job, less dollars.
Well, you said the key word, savings.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any other questions? What's the pleasure of the board? It is an action item, has to be worked on today. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mayor?
I make a motion that we approve this elevator project as presented.
Motion's on the floor to approve this elevator project as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, it's unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Mayo. Thank you, Mr. Mayo, for all the work that you do as chairman, and Mr. Aycock that serve on this facilities board committee. It's something that's a process, and it's continuous, and it seems like we're either moving in it or moving out of it, but it's a process in facilities of the county. But I commend the committee and Mr. Smith and your staff for staying on top of our facilities now, as we elaborated in January that we wanted to make sure that all the facilities in the county were looked at, and you're doing a good job at putting the thumb on the pulse and keeping us up to date on these facilities, and appreciate that. The request from the Highway 70 Corridor Commission for funding, you know, the 70 Corridor Commission has changed its way of doing business, allowing municipalities to participate, setting fee structures, not only for participating members at this time, but for municipalities as well. And as you know, that the 70 Corridor Commission was put together some 5-6 years ago, and was operated, as some said, sort of out of a shoebox for a while, but now the corporation has been put together, and Mr. George Stevenson is doing a great job as director, and a lot of things are going on the 70 Corridor, and as it moves forward throughout the eastern part of the state, this group now is fine-tuned, and we have members here that are sitting on that 70 Corridor Commission, Mr. Daugherty, myself, and Mr. Pate, and Chris Boyette from the city. And I believe the city has come aboard, and with Mr. Chuck Allen representing the city. So at this time, I'd like to turn this letter that we've received over to Mr. Smith and follow up with some explanation. And this is an action item that has to be acted on today.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I did receive word from the chair of the 70 Corridor Commission, and the chairman is correct. They have formed their corporation by which to operate. The county for a number of years has basically operated, everything's been in care of, and the county has taken care of the finances, and I appreciate the finance office in Marcia, and all of us working together have, I think, done a good job to use other county and Wayne County's money wisely, and kept up with it and gave them detailed reports on a monthly basis, on a day-to-day. But we do have left in the account, which includes all dollars that have been received from grants and all local monies, not just from Wayne County, but from other counties and municipalities over the years, a total of $216,768.77 as of 10/17/2013. And they're requesting that money be moved from Wayne County to the care of the Highway 70 Corridor Commission Incorporated. And additionally, we, the county, we operate their website. We were able to do that at a pretty low cost for them. And we've been doing that. Marcia has been keeping that up and keeping it updated. There's through School Wires, which handles our website, and that is an annual fee of $1,909.44 per year. That may be negotiated next year. That has been paid in full out of those funds this year, and we would need to discuss that with them as far as renegotiating that price for 2014-15. Also, by action of the 70 Corridor Commission at its regular meeting, the Commission consented and agrees to pay the County of Wayne a fee of $657.98 a month beginning November 1st, 2013 for services, for keeping the minutes and that type of thing. Marcia has been doing that and shall continue this as long as we provide that. They will pay the $657, or we will renegotiate that based on changes to benefits to the county. It's a reimbursement of hours per month. And that's what they're asking to continue that. So we do have that motion by that board. We're prepared to transfer if the county or the county board is willing to do that, consider that at this time. I do want to mention there were some questions yesterday. Mr. Stevenson and I talked about the Cambridge DOT economic impact study. That is a federal grant. Both of those are federal. Those contracts cannot be changed. They cannot be altered. Therefore, that will stay with the county. We have a $300,000, I think, a $250,000 and then $100,000 budget amendment was done, so we have $350,000 budgeted. We will be receiving the revenues. The bills, will be paying those out. The commission, of course, will take a look at those. Mr. Keene and myself are down as sort of co-managers of those projects federally, and we'll have to oversee each of the bills that will come in along with Ms. Holt, but that will stay with the county, and the commission is aware of that, and I verified that yesterday with DOT, that would stay with the county, and we'll manage that. It will end by the spring of next year, so everybody seemed fine with that.
Question, Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Help me out here just for a second.
Sure.
To back up a minute. The Cambridge was arranged for a study for 70 corridor, and then the 795-40 was added to that.
Correct.
That study was going to take anywhere between 4 months, 6 months at the max.
Yes.
It was a concern when we signed off on that because it was under the entity of Wayne County. Wayne County was handling everything before this corporation was set up. And it was a 5-county membership at $25,000 a year per county. And all the funds came into Wayne County. So Wayne County was the steerer or the captain of the boat here on this 70 corridor. Now they've established this and want the money deposited or taking that money from our account and given to the corporation, this new corporation that's been set up. It takes it out of our coffers and puts it into theirs. And what I just heard is that we are still Wayne County is still responsible for paying Cambridge.
That's correct.
Now, I just got the letter yesterday, and I've been a part of some communique. I was not at the board meeting for 70 Corridor Commission, but it is a little concerning that if we give this $216,000 over to a corporation and we're still left with a liability paying Cambridge, when in fact the Cambridge contract came by way of the 70 Corridor Commission and its board members prior to the 50, is it a 501(c)(3)?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
It is a 501(c)(3).
Yes.
So now it seems like if we're giving our cash, or we're giving these funds, which is rightfully theirs, but if Wayne County is going to be left holding a liability with no recourse as far as money, tell me how that's going to work.
I talked with Durwood and DOT yesterday, and they were also concerned that it.
Who's they?
Durwood, Stevenson, and Mr. Rouse.
Okay.
Okay. And they also had that concern that once it's transferred, that it looks like we're holding the bag on, and we have signed a contract. But if you remember the contract with DOT, and then DOT has a contract with Cambridge.
Right.
We agreed that we would pay or DOT, or the Cambridge amounts when invoiced. When we would get the invoice into DOT, we would get reimbursed. We would pay. So Durwood had a concern, and we talked to John about it, and I said, well, Durwood, I feel comfortable that the contract we signed with DOT said that when I received a Cambridge invoice, that I would verify it, send it to DOT, they would give me a check, then we would send that on. He said, I'm going to verify that that's the case. It appears that is the case. He said, however, Mr. Smith, if we find that that is a problem, the Highway 70 Commission will front the dollars so that you will not have to send anything in advance out of your dollars. In other words, they would front the dollar if needed. We'd send them the invoice if there's a problem, they would pay it, and we would get reimbursed as a county, pay that back to 70, because we cannot change the federal contract.
All right.
So he said they would do that, and they would reduce that to writing. That was the problem.
And with that said then, are you recommending that we act on shifting this money today before we have a contract in hand from the 70 Corridor Commission as it stands now to reflect what you have just said as far as they will front the money? Do you have a contract stating that?
I don't have a contract, but what I would recommend in when you make your motion, if you so choose to transfer the 216, I would do it with stipulation that on the 70 portion, remember the 70 study portion of Cambridge study.
Which includes the $795.40.
Yeah, that you include that the county will not be responsible for fronting or fronting the dollars, that the Highway 70 Commission, if we are not reimbursed in advance by DOT to pay those invoices, that Highway 70 pay us in advance, and then we pay Cambridge and then get reimbursed by DOT.
One final question to follow up, then I'll let the commissioners ask questions, preferably before motion goes to the floor, so it'll be less confusing, certainly. Mr. Parker, would it seem that it'd be simpler not to front any of these funds until the Cambridge contract is over, which is anticipated within 60 days?
When the contracts the initial contract was signed, DOT said that they would pay us, and in the past, when we have had contracts like that, they have in fact paid us immediately when we have sent money pursuant to any contract that the county was managing for the previous 70 Corridor Commission. And that was an understanding, certainly what Mr. Smith just recommended, if that's the way you want to do your motion, that would be in there, and we would make sure that they were in fact fronting the money.
How much time is anticipated before they're finished with the study, you think?
January at the latest. If there were any delays, it should be the end of December, but January is the latest. So, you've got about 3 months, 2 or 3 months.
I was not at the last meeting. Would there be any pushback for holding this for 60 days?
I think they, my indication was they wanted this transferred right on over to them.
I agree. Never ready for the transfer.
Okay. Well, if they're ready, but I was still wondering if we're ready.
And all three of us, myself and Mr. Daugherty and Chris Boyd, we all voted favorably for this to go ahead.
Okay. All right. Okay. That Mr. Smith.
Give you up-to-date stuff. Now, we paid the less this month, the $657.68. The dollar amount today would be $216,111.09. And I told Durwell yesterday that we may have already deducted some dollars. He said that's fine, whatever the balance is, and that would be the balance $216,111.09.
And they're asking for $216,768. How coincidental.
Well, all we did was reduce the $657 this month for Secretary. It just hit yesterday.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Mr. Pate.
I'm sorry. Did you want to go first?
Repeat
Mr.
that figure
Aker.
again, please.
216,111.09. $216,111.09.
Thank you.
Okay, that's all my questioning. Mr. Pate.
I was just trying to remember, because my memory's about long as my hair, so it's kind of tough to do. But it wasn't in that contract with the Cambridge DOT thing, that process on how it was supposed to work anyway?
Yes.
So we already have a signed contract that spells that out,
Yes.
as I
With
recall.
DOT.
I thought so. That's what I remember.
DOT brought the funds, they allocated the monies. It just had to come through a municipality or a system, and we managed that as the system of Wayne County is. So we managed the money for DOT, but we also guaranteed it as as county manager and commission. You gave me the authority to do that, and we did that. So we're on the hook for that. So when these funds are given over to another entity, they become their own system, their own entity. They have the money, but we're still liable for by contract. Is that right?
Subject to DOT giving us the money.
Exactly.
Right.
And they've signed off to do that.
Yes.
Yes.
If they don't give us the money, we don't pay. In Cambridge, that's in that contract. But I did appreciate Durwell calling and saying, Lee, if there's a problem with DOT, if something were to happen and they delay payment and you needed to pay it, we'll front the money for you if there's a delay, so there's no problem with Cambridge. So that's what they were offering up.
Okay.
They wanted us to be comfortable with what you were gonna do today.
All right, well, today we have an action item request from the Highway 70 Corridor Commission for funds, which Mr. Smith has indicated. So what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Daugherty.
I move that Wayne County transfer the balance in the Highway 70 Corridor Commission, those funds totaling $216,111.09, subject to an agreement that in the event NCDOT does not reimburse us on the front end of funding for the Cambridge study, that we require the Highway 70 Corridor Commission to front those monies on the front end.
Thank you, Mr. Daugherty. Motion's on the floor. Now it's discussion time. Any discussion? I do have a question if there's no discussion. Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Is that motion adequate to make sure that county's liability is not in jeopardy as far as getting the bills paid?
I think, yes, sir. In my opinion, it is.
All right, thank you for answering my question. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. All those opposed, thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Smith, do you have anything else to bring before us?
Thank you.
Okay, are there any comments, questions from the commissioners? It's not on the agenda, but certainly will
Just a question.
allow Mr. Pate.
On the fee part, do we need to vote on that we're going to accept that fee for the marshal's salary for her part and the website?
Well, it
Is that
really was,
necessary?
we're already incurring those costs now, so it basically is and I'm asking for an agreement from them they've agreed, and by letter to do that, by a motion to do that. So I'm asking for something formally between the Corridor Commission and the county, a contract form for those services and for reimbursement.
Well, when we do
Would
that.
you like to make that motion?
Well,
Mr.
I'm
Pate?
saying that, that we, I make a
You
motion
could make
that.
a motion that, I mean, if, you
Yeah.
know, to,
That we, subject to a contract with them,
yes,
with the 70
for
Corridor
reimbursement
Commission.
of those services.
For reimbursement for those services.
Sure, absolutely, that'd be great,
As defined in this letter,
yes.
with a website. Okay, well, let's make it a motion, then we can ask some questions.
Well, that's what I do. I already do.
Okay.
Might not
Does
come
everyone
out that way,
understand? Madam Clerk, would you please read back the motion?
I already stated, I make the motion that we accept the annual fees and the annual fees that we're going to be paid for from the 70 Corridor Commission, subject to a contract that is agreed upon with this board.
For Secretarial Services and website.
Yes.
Any questions or comments on that motion? If we're up for discussion.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Daugherty?
as you recall, Commissioner Pate, the Corridor Commission did in fact pass a motion that
Yes,
they
we did.
would in fact reimburse us those. I think this is just from our end, basically saying that we'll accept those.
Well, the reason I've asked the question is, and make that motion is that going to be subject to renegotiation in the future, or are we going to be
Yes.
stuck with that?
It
or-
is, and talk.
I would just love to see I just love to see a
70 could
contract.
grow, and 70 could wind up in the future having like the 17, where they have a office
Yeah.
and a permanent secretary, administrative person, and website. I mean, that could obviously change. So it is subject every
I don't-
fiscal year to change.
I'm not really worried about it,
Sure.
but I don't think it's really that big of an issue, because I don't think they'll have any problem doing that.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And this is keeping their costs really low, too.
But just to protect us from the liabilities, I'd like to have something in hand that says this
Sure.
is how we're going to proceed in the future.
We can do that.
Any other comments? All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. All those opposed? That's passed unanimously. Thank you. We're getting ready to wrap it up. It's not on the agenda, but certainly if any commissioner has anything to say or discuss, we do. We try to get out here at 10:30, but we have about 15 minutes. Don't want to do it 15, 20 minutes, but Mr. Aycock?
Yes, I just a second. This coming Saturday, they are having a reading and writing remembrance of the Oak Plain School at Charles B. Aycock. I know we all have got busy schedules. I've got to eat barbecue 3 times tomorrow, but this board put a lot of effort into keeping this facility open. And, you know, if you're in the area, and I know everyone can't go, but if you're in the area, if you could stop by for just a minute so we could show our support, because this board did put a lot of effort in keeping that facility open, and at least we could show our thanks if you can.
Thank you, Mr. Aycock. Any comments? Mr. Daugherty?
I did have a question of Commissioner Aycock. I've got one barbecue. Could you tell me about the other 2?
Well, my wife has got a nursing reunion at Parker's tomorrow at lunch.
Okay.
And then Rosewood Fire Department is having theirs.
Rosewood.
And Indian
And
Springs.
Indian-
And there may be another one that I don't know about.
Oh, I thought Arrington was having theirs. Is that right? Or is it Indian Springs?
Indian Springs.
Indian Springs. Okay. Well, good. Thank you for correcting me on that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mayo?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Talking about the 70 Corridor Commission, the Highway 70 from Johnson County to Wayne County is actually in mine and Mr. King's district, and so I like to go to the meetings, even though I'm not on the board, just to see what the progress is and the cooperation between the counties from here to the coast. Highway 70 is and it's going to be a primary artery of Wayne County, and so we certainly need to keep on tabs, which we are. We are going to meetings that have an effect on Wayne County, and I want to thank the commissioners on this board that serve on the Highway 70 Corridor Commission, because it is a really time-consuming job, and I just appreciate their efforts in serving on the Corridor Commission. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Cromartie.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would like to invite the public to participate in a library book sale that's happening today and tomorrow. And one thing about that, those funds is generated are funneled back into the library system to buy materials, books, and so forth. Ms. Phillips, would you like to say just a little bit about it?
Thank you. Friends of the Library preview sale started last night, and we had a great turnout. I'm happy to report that we raised $1,400 last night, so that was good news. That was for Friends members only. We sold memberships at the door. But the sale continues today and tomorrow, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and all of the proceeds from the book sales go to fund items that are not funded in our budget. So special programming for adults and children in our community. They have bought computer equipment for us. They have bought furnishings for us in the past, help support our community garden, all sorts of things. So this is an opportunity for the community to come out and show your support and love for our public library, as they did last night. And thank you, Mr. Parker. He came and bought a box of books last night. So I'd love to see you all come too. You're invited.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Phillips.
Thank you, Chairman.
Mr. Page? Okay, Mr. Aycock? You're okay?
I've already had
All
mine.
right.
Thank you.
Well, real quickly, because of the comments, it brought in, especially yours, Mr. Aycock, about the Aycock birthplace. Being a part of these committees and commissions, as we all are, all over the state, locally and regionally, you glean a lot. You get a lot of information from different parts, and you put those together and connect the dots. You network. And the Aycock birthplace reminded me, when he just brought that up, is that that's just temporary opening. That's just a temporary opening right now by the state. That did not promise us that birthplace is going to stay open for the next 10, 15 years. And with that said, I get that information from those who are in the business in the State Department that understand the state-funded or supported pieces all over the state, whether they be historical sites or as this, the Aycock birthplace. And we did a great job, as the Military Affairs Committee is doing a great job with the Windmill Farm. We did a great job by lining up at the door and keeping that open. We went to the General Assembly. There was a group chaired and championed by Commissioner Mayo with the facility, with the municipalities of Fremont and Pikeville, the whole northern sector got together and even stretched across Wilson. They got into the Wilson County area and championed to keep that open. But those places, I'm being told by the State Department, are only open in reference to sustainability and how they can keep them open and pay. And they are looking for attendance. That's their number one marker, is they look at attendance. Our schools used to visit the Aycock birthplace. The Aycock birthplace, I understand, may have been taken off a route that maybe couldn't be afforded. Maybe the school system can't afford it. Maybe there's not funds there to make this attendance, to bring in those kids and those second graders and those third and fourth graders. I know when I was in high school some years, in grammar schools back in the 60s, is that in Johnston County, we traveled to the Aycock birthplace. And I would think everybody in here is probably in school has gone to the Aycock birthplace if you were within 30 miles of 40 miles of the Aycock birthplace. So when you read that, it just reminded me of that the way that we talk is through numbers. And that's what the state of North Carolina listens to, is numbers. And if we can increase our numbers by visitation, by the attendance, and if we can use the school system to get that route back on the system, and you know what? It might take some funding. It might take asking the school system, let's see if we can make that part of a curriculum in a first grade or second grade or fourth grade. And I don't know the liabilities. I'm not in the school business, so don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say the school needs to do this. I'm just saying that this is what the thoughts are in the State Department to keep open these as the Aycock birthplace, Mr. Aycock. To keep them open is that they are looking for data that indicates it can be sustained by these numbers that are coming through the door with the clickers. This is numbers of people. And the best way to do that is maybe get back to what we used to do, is take those kids and show them where education started at the Aycock birthplace. Mr. Aycock.
And one quick thing too, we're fortunate we have 2 state parks in Wayne County. We need to fight for the Cliffs of the Neuse just like we do Charles B. Aycock. I mean, we are very fortunate to have 2 state parks in Wayne County, and we need to support them.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, to follow up on your comment about the Aycock birthplace, Commissioner Pate and Commissioner Aycock and myself were attending a meeting at the birthplace with the state, and the day we were there were some school buses there from Wayne County, but also from Wilson County. So Charles B. Aycock birthplace not only affects Wayne County, but the surrounding counties. It is an excellent place for students and adults to learn what life was in the 1800s. It's an educational tool. And so, yes, you're right, Mr. Chairman. We do have funding for this year, but in the future, we may have to take a look at doing it different ways. My understanding is that it's still open. The schools of Wayne County are still going there on a regular basis on field trips. I'm not aware that Charles B. Aycock has been taken off of a list to go on a field trip. Only thing I know is the day we were there was about 5 to 6 school buses, right?
There's a bunch of kids running around.
Yeah, there's a lot of kids running around. So hopefully that's not the case, Mr. Chairman. I hope that the Charles B. Aycock birthplace is still a viable field trip for our students here in Wayne County. I have not heard anything that says it's still not. Okay?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not implying that they've been taken off the list, if that's what you...
No,
I'm saying
no.
in order to sustain this historical piece of our county, to sustain it, we have to keep those buses going. We can't use that as, we can't use taking that off the curriculum or taking that off the route list. We have to sustain it by the people that I'm speaking to in Raleigh. To keep this thing going, we need to continue those numbers, pack in those numbers, and let's use the school system to do that. Maybe we need to add to it or add the routes or get more of a curriculum. But the history of education started right here at Governor Aycock's birthplace, and to keep that open for years to come. We need to keep the numbers going in there.
Yeah.
And showing them that it's a place for learning, education.
Yes.
History. Any other comments? If you hadn't have brought up the Aycock birthplace, I'd have never thought. It's just one of those things in you. Thank you so much. Do we have a motion that we adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Daugherty. All those approved, raise your hand. Thank you.